Hello, everyone, and welcome to the You Can Heal Global Summit. I'm your co-host, Dr. Jen Furch, and I have here with us Laura Christine Sainz, and she is the founder and the founder of Live Vegan Vibrantly. She is a transformational and master health coach in this field, and I'm so happy to have you here today, just to really get us on the right track as to what we can do to help us live that vibrant vegan life. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jen, for having me. It's an absolute pleasure. And hello, everyone out there.
And I'm sure everybody is so curious to know just kind of what got you on your path and this mission. I know this is your passion, just to help people. You're transforming lives day to day with people all around the world. Can you just share with us a little bit as to kind of your story?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Jen. So for the people who haven't met me yet, my story started back in my early 20s. And before I found my calling and my purpose to do this type of work, I was working in corporate America. I was like a vegetarian at the time, and kind of, really living the typical like American lifestyle, like going to work. And I was working in IT. I was a corporate consultant, and really for me, that just was not fulfilling for me at all. A lot of the times people will just say, "Oh, you just care so much, like about people, like you care too much, don't care that much." And I'm like, whoa, that's like kind of crazy. So I ended up, and I remembered like driving home, like every day, and just looking at the pollution like on the road and thinking, what am I contributing to? Right. How am I helping society? How am I, helping this planet? What am I really doing? And so I was in corporate for a really long time. And because I wasn't sure, and I was doing all of these, really other kinds of lifestyle things that weren't very necessarily good for optimal health, I ended up getting a lot of different diseases. My biggest triumph with my health was curing myself of Crohn's disease. I mean, it was just a nightmare, going to so many different doctors, getting tested. They wanted to just put me on medication that would just put a Band-Aid on the whole problem, including wanting to put me on, I think it was like 500 milligrams of Prozac, pretty much just numb me out, of life. So I had tons of other things going on. I had major depressive disorder. I had anxiety. I had fibromyalgia. I had chronic fatigue syndrome. I also had systemic candida. Mm-hmm. And they were also just giving me that purple pill, right. There's like no cure, for any of those diseases. And so I tried the Western route for so long. And then I went over the homeopathia route, still wasn't helping. And then while all this is going on, I decided to leave corporate, and I became a yoga teacher full time. And during my mentorship, because I studied for years, I was with this teacher, and she started telling me, well, you've tried everything else, so why not go through food? And fast forward, I was living in San Diego, and through just a mutual birthday party, like with my yoga teacher girlfriends, I went to this house, and it happened to be the director of the Center of Integrative Medicine at UCSD, the University of California, San Diego, and we just bonded. We clicked about food, about holistic lifestyle living, about healing. I mean, the whole shebang. And I had brought over dessert, and I was really trying to go vegan at that time, because I just knew that there was this like optimal level of health and food that I just didn't know about yet. Right. So she loved my dessert, and I loved her cooking. And then she told me about this natural healing and cooking program at UCSD, and she invited me to teach it and help build out her program. And I had no previous experience, like teaching a class. But my whole life, I've been just surrounded by the love of food. I was going to go to Le Cordon Bleu after college, but it was so like expensive. And then they were going to have me work with animals and animal products, and I just really didn't want to do that. So I jumped at the opportunity, loved it. I created the holiday series to teach people how to eat this way, even during the holiday season, and not put on that 20 pounds. So they're still eating healthy, healing, vibrant, vegan food. And then I just turned it into my own practice. So I created Live Vegan Vibrantly, probably like 4 or 5 years ago. And I've just been thriving with it ever since. You know, just like yourself, I put on global summits, and then I also, you know, have private clients, and I'm just so blessed and blissed out that I get to do this with people and really share with the world that you have complete and utter control and power with your health. It's just a matter of education. Yes. We're trained to eat meat, put a slab of cheese on it, you know, put it between 2 pieces of bread. I mean, there's billboards for it all over the place.
Right.
So all it is just education. And we just don't know what we don't know. So, and it's really easy. It's really delicious. And I've never been more healthy and more fit in my entire life. I am healthier and more fit than I ever was in my 20s.
Right.
So that's kind of my story.
That's a great story. And I love the title, the Live Vegan Vibrantly, because so many people that I talk to, they come in and they're trying to go vegan, but they're not really doing it vibrantly, so to speak. They're struggling. They can't stick to it. And I think with your story, maybe for our viewers, you could help maybe with 3 tips, you know, things that we could do at home, you know, something for us to take home as we get to know you, as to what we could do to really try to help, you know, us stick to this healthy life, maybe go to a restaurant or cook at home, what that might look like for everybody, because we all want to be healthy, but it's hard to kind of let go of those ideals. So anything that you could share with us that we could take home today would be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to. So the first thing that I would say that's the most important is your desire, you know, your level of commitment. Like, like, how bad do you want it? Right. You know, most people that I speak with, I, you know, normally won't even get on the phone with them if they're like, well, maybe, I'm not sure, because if you don't really want to do something, then you're just not going to do it. So let's get real here, right? So you got to be 100% like, this is what I got to do, and I'm going to do everything that I can to absolutely take care of it. So I think your level of commitment to yourself or taking your power back of your health is the number one thing to have first.
Right.
The second thing I would say is be open. Be open to trying things. Be open to doing your own research. Be open to making new friends. Be open to getting a coach. Be open to getting that education and trying foods that you've never tried before. Because let me tell you, it's usually the foods that people have never tried before that actually heal your body. Most people haven't heard of lotus root. Most people haven't heard of burdock root. Most people don't eat seaweed. But those things are cancer-fighting foods, and they taste delicious. You learn how to cook these foods, and they taste delicious. And you have to be open. This is going to be a process. Be open to the fact that, let's say, like, you know, any patient that comes to see you, Dr. Jen, they're like struggling, right? They're not quite sure how to do it. Well, they also need to understand that it's a healing process before you get healthy. And you know, in our society, we're like, oh, here's the pill and instant gratification. Exactly. Well, they also get to be open about is that they didn't get to where they are overnight. Even with their illness, even with their disease or whatever it is that they're dealing with, it has accumulated over time. So when you start the healing lifestyle, which is not hard, it's easy, it's delicious, and it's fun, when you start actually embracing your body from the neck down,
Yeah.
and being open to receiving from your body and having a relationship with your body and letting it communicate with you, then that is going to enable the healing process and allowing you to have optimal health even more.
Right.
So the third thing is the food. I know, right?
Everybody loves food.
Yes. So it's kind of like, when I mean, it's common sense. Everybody knows that, broccoli is healthier than a donut, right? But what people, I think, aren't also recognizing is that when they have that piece of food, that it goes to every single inch of their body. It not only goes to their brain, but it goes all the way down to their toes.
Right.
And the body rejuvenates itself every year, has different organs and parts and stuff. And then I think it's every 3 years or something like that. It completely, transforms itself into what you've been eating.
Right.
You really are what you eat. So if you're eating a lot of high sugar foods, high processed foods, alcohol, smoking of any kind, I mean, that's producing a lot of inflammation in the body.
Right.
But if you're having whole grains and vegetables and legumes and nuts and seeds and fruits, those are going to keep an alkaline system, which promotes health and healing, and there's little to no possibility of having that disease or illness come in. And also taking a look at, so this is kind of like a bonus, but also taking a look at like your surroundings, like your home, your friends, your community, your work. Is any of that toxic? For example, even if you look at my story, my corporate job was toxic.
Creating the acidity, right.
Right. It was toxic for me because in my heart and in my soul, which every one of us has, it was not resonating. So you really got to get intimate with yourself and create that connection and go there, because it's really like, it's a choice. It's not an excuse.
Yeah.
It's a choice that you make, and it's a decision that you make for yourself when you say, I'm going to do this, and you can do it. And it's so easy. So the key that I always tell everybody, the key to having optimal health, and when you're starting the healing process into optimal health, is to think of your plate as a peace sign. And so you divide it into thirds, right? Peace sign in thirds.
Right.
And you have your legumes, you have your grains, and you've got your greens. And that is a complete protein.
Okay.
So any kind of bean, like pinto bean, black beans, adzuki beans, lima beans, then you've got your whole grains, so brown rice, quinoa, farro, like buckwheat, and then you've got your legumes, so vegetables like carrots, beets, onions, daikon, collard greens, mustard greens, all different kinds of greens, right?
Right.
And then you have fruit. You also have nuts and seeds that create like the good omegas and all the healthy fats.
Right.
But that is the foundation. And people, the reason why they have such a hard time sticking to it is because their palate, the tongue, is coated with salt, preservatives, sugar, and animal fats.
Right.
Once you start eating these clean foods on the peace sign plate, your tongue will start to strip away. That coating will start to dissipate. Your palate will change. So like I said, it's the healing process. It's part of the transformational process. So what happens is you transform. So your palate changes, how you feel changes, how you taste food changes. But you have to allow yourself to go. It's like when an alcoholic or a cigarette smoker decides to quit. They're gonna go through some different things.
Absolutely.
And you know what? I'm gonna tell everybody out there, you can handle it. You can do it. call a friend, call Dr. Jen, call me, call your mom, like for support, like, oh, I really just want that cheeseburger or that ice cream. And you know what? There's absolutely no excuse now, because there is every single veganized meat and fish and poultry and everything out there. Right. And they're great alternatives too.
Well, and what I love about what you're saying is just, your passion to it, but you're really talking about this person as a whole, that you are worth it. You're worth it to make different choices. You're worth it to say, I can do this. And, it might be a little difficult in the beginning, but it's an art and a science. And you're telling us about this art and science that, it's not something that we're usually taught. We're not usually informed about the differences in our foods, unfortunately, and we get caught in these habits. And as we start to transform and our cells transform and our taste buds and all these different types of things, it will become our natural state, because we are actually made of that. And we're just trying to get back to it. And this is that process. And when we talk about disease, when people start to forget that this is who they are and they go back to that disease process, it can be a little bit harder then to get back into a state of, aligning with that health, because we will go through more detoxification symptoms. But I think at the point is that our body is made to heal, and that if you give it the right things, that it will. And we just have to trust in that and rely on people like you that know the art and science that can guide us there. And I think that's just so important. And like you said, the willingness, I want to change, I want to do this, and to rely on the feedback of people around you, and really using a coach and just getting beyond those spaces that, we really can come into feeling whole again and healthy. I mean, those are incredible things that you had to heal within yourself, that you're now trying to heal within others and for others, guide others too. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
Do you have a particular recipe that is your favorite that you might want to share with us?
Oh gosh, I mean, so many. I mean, I cook every day. I mean, I love it. So let's see, I guess like okay, so here's kind of like the cure. So if let's just go to the cure, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Miso soup is like magic. So if you're sick, if you like the flu, you've got sore throat, you've got sinus, you've got thyroid disease, you've got Crohn's disease, you've got colitis, you've got any kind of inflammation or imbalance going on in your body, miso soup. And it is so easy to make. So my background is in macrobiotics, which is a very healing lifestyle. And I've, taken the whole food, organic, plant-based type of thing along with it. So I don't normally talk about, like, traditionally macrobiotics talks about like fish and stuff, but we're not going there because it's all plant-based. Okay. So sorry, back to the miso soup. So the miso soup, you start with caramelized onions. So caramelized onions is like the base for any kind of cooking because it brings so much flavor. So you can either, have translucent, or you can, deepen it with caramelized onions. And I also teach the balance and the energies of like yin and yang. So expansive energy or contracting energy. And that's going to depend on the condition of the person that I'm working with. Okay. So what I do is I look at that and then I bring them back to balance. So with the miso soup, depending on your condition, you can do the onions translucent or more caramelized. And then you put in your like different kinds of vegetables. I love daikon, I love carrots, and I'll do lotus roots. And I'll like saute all those together. And then I add water. Now this is without oil. Okay. Some people really they want to have oil. Some people don't. The best oil to use is sesame sesame oil or toasted sesame oil. I don't do coconut oil. I don't do olive oil for cooking. None of that, because then it changes it to like the carcinogens and all that. So, and it's never frying. You don't fry the food. It's not like this, you know, when you're doing the onions or anything. It's a gentle cooking.
Okay.
So you also have to think about this too. It's not just like throwing vegetables in a pot and saying, okay, well, whatever, this is supposed to cure me. No, you're with the vegetables.
Right.
You're conscious. You're thinking good thoughts. You are in meditation in the kitchen. You are with the food. You are creating your medicine. Do you want to go, you know, would you rather throw your money to like big pharma? Right. That's not going to cure you. And trust me, it's a lot harder to live with a disease, because I lived it. It's a lot harder to live with a disease, taking pills that don't cure you, rather than going through your detox process, going through your transformation process, and you have complete control. You're over that pot. You're like stirring it. You're like, oh, this is going to be so good. It's so delicious. And then I add my water. So I add as much water for my broth as, you know, as I think that is going to, whether I want it thick or I want it a little bit more brothy. I kind of like to have my root vegetables really chunky in there. Mm-hmm. So then I add my water and I bring it up to a simmer. As soon as that's done, I add in my miso. So the thing is with miso, again, like my favorite is chickpea, and I love South River Miso Company. It's like the best miso that you'll ever have on the planet. So what you do is you take some of that broth into like a Pyrex dish, right? And you put your miso into that Pyrex dish and you dissolve it in there. Because if you dissolve the miso into the pot, you're going to have chunks of miso everywhere.
Right.
You want to have a little bit of the broth on the side. Okay. Take the pot off of the stove. No more boiling, because if you boil, you're going to kill all of the good gut bacteria that is naturally occurring in miso. Then you put it in, and I like to do my greens last, because I like having not so soggy greens in my soup. Yeah. So I'll add kale or collard greens or dandelion greens or mustard greens. So the darker the green, the better for you. And then I let them sit for maybe 5 minutes. And then I pour it in, and I'll grate some fresh ginger, put a little bit of ume plum vinegar, and it is absolutely delicious.
Sounds delicious.
and you don't even need salt. You don't need salt. You don't need animal fat. You don't need oil, really. Like you don't need all that stuff, because we are naturally designed and drawn to all of the herbs, vegetables that are grown from the earth. Right. What do you think we season our meat with? Herbs, salt, onions, potatoes, carrots, celery. You know, all of rosemary, thyme. We put all that stuff onto the meats to make it taste good. Right. So naturally, we like the vegetables.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So that sounds delicious.
Yeah, it is delicious. I love it. It's fantastic.
And it sounds simple.
Very simple. I teach very simple. I have gotten macrobiotics down to like 30-minute meals, because when I first learned, it was like 2-3 hours in the kitchen. Right. And it's like, I don't have time for that. Like, let's get it down to 30-minute meals, like super delicious, easy, like back to Mother Nature, back to our roots, you know, and you have energy, you're healthy. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it sounds delicious. And I just want to enhance the point that you made about what you're thinking about creating a meal. Because when we talk about alkalinity and acidity, which is, you know, maybe another presentation from this, but disease cannot flourish in an alkaline environment. And our alkalinity is when we're doing everything that you're saying, that vegan diet, the vegetable dominance, and the peace plate that you just nicely explained for us. The acidity is more our meats and those heavy proteins, things like that. but our acidity is also the way that we're thinking. Our negative thoughts will actually create that same chemical effect on our body that meat will. And so people might not know, well, I'm eating all these healthy ways. I really transform my diet. And then we have to go to, well, what are you thinking about? How are you thinking? How stressed are you? Because your body doesn't know the difference. It will actually create that same chemical compound in the body to create that same acidic environment, to create that same disease process. And so when you said that, I was just like, man, how many people come home and they're rushing in the kitchen and pulling everything out of the fridge, and just they're not conscious as to what they're preparing, because this is the same energetic vibration that's going into your body to create the health. And we're talking about the whole holistic health picture, and that's just such, it's the importance of that for people to know that it is really what you create, your photon pattern into your body, that allows this vibrancy of your cell. And so thank you for explaining that. And then on top of that, having this delicious miso soup sounds excellent. Do you do juicing a lot in the morning, or is that part of your just mostly?
I eat whole food.
Okay.
So, like sometimes I'll have a juice, but rarely, because I find that juicing, even though it's definitely beneficial for the body, but it's like there's nothing is in there but the juice.
Okay.
So instead of the whole fruit, like whole food, plant-based, organic, seasonal, local is really what I focus on.
Okay.
And it makes it actually creates different energies in the body. So if you were to have a smoothie versus a juice, you're going to feel different from how the smoothie is going because of what's in it, the whole food, versus just the juice. That's going to just like spike you up really fast. And the smoothie is going to take a little bit longer to digest. You've got the fiber in there, and you may not have a crash. And it really just depends. I mean, but for me, that's why I don't juice, and I don't really recommend juicing. Not saying that it's bad, but when you're I work with people who are really healing from stage 4 cancer, all the way to like, I want to lose 20 pounds.
Okay.
So it's like, well, where are we at? What are the goals? And then I also wanted to add too, when you were talking earlier about, the energy, and you have patients that come in and they're like, well, I'm doing all of this, but it's still not working. There's a whole nother level of consciousness too, because once you start eating these foods, your consciousness level is definitely going to change. You're going to elevate. Right. But then there's another level, there's another layer. And some people that I work with, particularly with weight loss, that's an emotional process. So I have a degree in psychology, and I use that as well to help people start to release the beliefs around, well, I can't lose the weight because it's a protective barrier, because then I won't get approached by men, or and I'm afraid of relationships.
Right.
So no matter what you're healing from, and I love that you said this earlier, like, yes, I can. Yes, I'm worth it. We start to create and build those positive mindset reinforcement types of thinking and telling ourselves that, because you really do become what you think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And allowing your body to release, and believing and knowing that you can have a beautiful, beautiful, great body that you think that you may never attain. It's just simply not true. We were all born to have these beautiful, functioning bodies like the Greeks and the goddesses and all of that.
Right.
So this is our lives that we're talking about. And I didn't even touch on this either, like the level of happiness too. And your life changes so much, just so much, when you heal and you become healthy. And the people around you and the people that you start to attract and interact with. I mean, for me, it took literally, I mean, the healing period is really not that long. What really stops people is that they quit and they keep starting over and over and over.
Right.
You can have results of symptom relief in as little as 6 weeks. And I've even seen it with people that I've worked with major thyroid, like hyperthyroid disease, have results within 2 weeks.
Right. Yeah, I don't, and that is such a huge point, because I think most people think, well, if I start today, it's going to be a year before I feel anything. And it's like, you feel a transformation in 3 days, in 72 hours sometimes, because your body knows what to do. And what I'm hearing from you, and the more we talk, is just the more I'm like, okay, this is, you're the whole package, because you're using the diet, or I wouldn't even call it a diet, the lifestyle of this type of eating as a doorway, but you're really getting to, why do you want this, or why don't you want this? What are your blocks? How can we get you here? So it's not something on a daily that you have to be like, man, I gotta do this. Like you're wanting, you're getting into an energy where you start to just want it, and it becomes natural. It's nothing that you have to force yourself to do or think about doing, or how am I. It starts to become you. And I think that's fulfillment. That's what fulfillment is, that I'm actually at a place where I feel that I want this and I want to do good for my body, but I know where my blocks are and how to move through them. And I think that's such a beautiful thing, that you're really bringing forward here, and with such a tangible thing through eating and discovering who you are. And that's amazing. Can you tell us a little bit about your free gift that you're offering for everybody today?
Yeah, so I love sharing video recipe tutorials with everybody. So everybody will have access to me cooking a recipe, a really delicious, yummy one, and you'll also get the PDF file so you can print it out and do as you please with it. And then also I'm offering, and this is rare because I rarely ever do this, but I thought it would be great to give a bonus to and offer 30-minute coaching sessions with people. And I'll give you you'll have the link and everything that you can post for everybody so they can book. My calendar usually fills up really fast. So I'm just putting it out there that, make sure that you get your time in when you can. And I'd be happy to connect and be in service and, help really as many people as I can. I mean, the whole world, gets to know about this. And I love what you guys are doing with this summit. You can heal, because yes, you can. And I love that, because that's kind of like the whole underlying theme of, what I do too. So I'm just so grateful for all of you beautiful women putting this on. And here we go. We're here to heal the world.
We are. And I know that this information will help people. It'll transform people. I mean, just start with these small tips, and I mean, you will feel better. Engage with Laura, sign up for these wonderful gifts, and she will help you heal. There is a way. People don't think there's a way. There is a way. This is what we are bringing to you right now. And I thank you so much for your time and your art and science, all of your education, and allowing us to feel your vibration. It's such an honor. Thank you so much. It's a blessing. And thank you for everyone for tuning in today to the You Can Heal Global Summit. So don't forget to check out Laura and go to her website. That will be provided for you, her free gifts, and tune into your email for our next lovely speaker. And we will be in touch shortly. Thank you so much.